Alrighty, folks, coming at you guys today with a little bit of a meta discussion of version 1.6.2. The patch has been out for about a week now. Gonna do an update to the 1.6 tier list soon, but before I got to that, I wanted to do a little meta update or discussion of the meta, see what you guys' thoughts are, get some feedback from you guys about what we're seeing in 1.6.2, what we're predicting and expecting in the future for Pred, and just a general discussion of what's going on. If you like this type of video, I can do one of these for every set of patch, or every patch following the patch notes after we get some time played on it. But let's get right into it. I'm going to try to make this one brief. Got some Gideon gameplay going in the background for you, so you don't have to just sit here and look at me talk for a couple minutes. But let's get into it. Timestamps below to each section. First off, some general changes and general balance, some topics that we've seen here. First off, tanks feel a little less tanky for sure in 1.6.2. I think that's an okay change. Tanks are still very decent, but the general reduction in level up health gains and magic armor gains, particularly across all heroes, is definitely noticeable. It's more like in the 10% range, so it's not like a huge drop or anything, but you will see mid laners take down tanks quicker now, which, you know, is fair. It's not something I'm for or against in reality, but it's just something that we are seeing in 1.6.2. Curious if they continue down the less tanky path, but you can still build 6 armor items, of course, and be very tanky, which is fine. I think it's a good balance right now. Next up, Nitro. I did want to discuss this. I have not been playing Nitro since the 1.6.2 changes. It is extremely fast now. The Fang 2-3 spawning speed, the more potent jungle objectives after the 20-minute mark, it's just crazy. It's literally Brawl with extra steps. Yeah, I'm not for the whole hero shooter genre. If I wanted to play a hero shooter, there's plenty of them out there on the market that all compete with each other. Of course, Marvel Rivals being a big one right now. But it's just, if you want us to play Brawl, just give us Brawl. You don't have to do this whole Brawl with extra steps that's Nitro right now. The laning phase is basically non-existent in Nitro. You're not penalized at all for rotating, which is a complaint I already have in normal quick match and ranked games. But in Nitro, it's even more extreme. There's no point in even playing in your lane after the 8-minute mark, because you're going to get value somewhere else better, and you're not going to be penalized for missing lane minions basically at all, because you get free XP and gold drip, and the objectives are going to come up so quick, you just need to be on every objective. So Nitro, aka Brawl with extra steps, it's not for me. I hope some people are enjoying it, but just either give us Brawl back or come up with a better way to shorten games. My recommendation would be start us at level 3 with enough gold to buy an item, rather than trying to advance the game with all these quicker spawns and less valuable minions and all this stuff like that. We're happy to play the late game portion of a MOBA, just don't give us a hero shooter that's packaged as a MOBA. You know, it's Brawl with extra steps. It's all cool. Hope some people are still enjoying it, but I have not been playing Nitro since 1.6.2. I tried it. It's too much for me, man. It's too fast. It's not a MOBA anymore. So that's it for general changes. I wanted to talk about augments more in depth here, because this is the first balance patch that we've got following the augment system being introduced. One thing that they did is change around some of the minor augments. I think they balanced them out pretty well. They kind of brought some of the weaker, well, really just one of the weaker minor augments up a little bit, and then nerfed down some of the stronger minor augments. I think all of them are in a pretty competitive spot right now, and I think the augment system overall has panned out very well. And they'll probably continue to balance, especially the minor augments and stuff. I expect the next patch to also have some augment changes in it, but I think they've done a good job at making them all competitive. As far as minor augments, as far as hero-specific augments, we got a lot of buffs and nerfs in this patch, because this, like I said, is the first patch following the augment system being introduced. I think they did a good job on the balance side of things, making it so that the augments they buffed didn't like super accelerate certain heroes, and the augments they nerfed kind of brought these stronger heroes in line. Just a couple I wanted to mention. Crunch, the attack speed augment being total attack speed rather than built attack speed now, does feel very good. Attack speed augment on Crunch is quite fun both in jungle and solo. Drongo's heal grenade, as well as his grenade itself, the damage being buffed is insane. I have gone top healed with Drongo's heal grenade multiple games. It is absurd how much that grenade heal. You can heal half of your health bar off of one heal grenade in the late game with Drongo. So very fun in lane and fun in the late game. Drongo probably going to be stepping up a little bit in the tier list coming soon. Wraith, he got that gold gain augment buffed. It's basically like having a free feather now, which is very strong. You will frequently, if you are playing Wraith in mid, be an item ahead of your opponent mid laner by the mid to late game, which is solid. It's kind of necessary on Wraith to fix how slow of a start he has and how poor he clears. It's really nice to have that gold gain. I think he is still extremely strong late game and will get to that late game point quicker than most other characters with a basically free feather built into the augment. But still a hero you have to be good with to get good value with. And then some other ones. Skylar's ult, I expected it to hit crazy hard. It does hit crazy hard if you build the 3-round burst ult augment, but I don't think it's really overtuned because those 3 shots come out pretty slow. You have time to dodge them, you have time to evade. It's not a really fast 3-round burst. I think if they made it a little faster, it probably would be overpowered, but it does hit absurdly hard and can nuke people if you're building Overseer on like the Typhoon Skylar build. So keep an eye out for that one. And then Gadget, Grim, Gideon, Boris all got some augment adjustments that definitely make them feel better. Gadget with the shield buff augment. Grim with the auto or with the ult resetting augment, now having a free Vank proc associated with it, is very nice because you don't want to build Vank on Grim. Gideon with the True Silver adjustment on his ult shield augment. Very strong. I've been having a ton of fun on Gideon. You'll see that in this gameplay right here. And then Boris, both his extra damage on low health targets and his health or damage mitigation armor % bonus augment feel very strong. I think Boris is in quite a good spot right now, better than he has been or better than he was prior to the augment buffs for sure. And then the last buff I wanted to talk about is actually Sparrow's move speed plus invis augment. They buffed how much move speed you get from it, and in my opinion it's a little over the top. We're already talking about a hero that's kind of the #1 carry, especially after the Rev nerfs. I think Sparrow is the clear-cut #1 carry, and she really didn't need that extra mobility. The drawback to Sparrow has always been that she lacks mobility, and that augment kind of puts her in a little bit too strong of a spot. Going on to nerfs, some of the nerfs that we saw to the augments. Iggy's 4 turrets augment nerf, where they have reduced health now, feels a lot more reasonable. It feels like you can actually take down the turrets and manage laning against Iggy or approaching an objective that Iggy is set up on if you can burn those turrets down quick because they have less health. So I think that was a good balance. Tiny Ramp feels a lot more balanced in the early game. Used to get ridiculous attack speed when Tiny just at level 6. Now you've really got to have that ult to max level before you get the crazy attack speed. Still very strong though, Tiny Ramp performing quite well in all the games that I see him in. Rev with the 4th shot augment getting some nerfs is, I think, very healthy for the game because he was essentially like if he hit the mark, missiles, and 4 shots, he basically kills any tank in the game with the augment prior to the nerf because it had so much armor ignore and missing health damage. I think now it's kind of more reasonable. Rev's still a very strong carry, but a lot harder to use. You still have to basically hit every shot with him to get better value on him than you are on most carries. And then finally, Faye Brambles, the range reduction on her range extension augment, I think was very reasonable. It was too far. It went too far. I still don't use that one all the time on Faye, but it is still a very strong augment, and Faye's still in a very good spot, so that was a much needed nerf. And that's all I've got to talk about as far as augment changes. Let me know your thoughts on the augment balance changes. What augments do you want to see get adjusted further? I'm assuming 1.7, which, by the way, I think they announced is July 22nd. We expect to see some more augment changes. So let me know what you're trying to see there. What augments do you think are overtuned and undertuned right now, in your opinion? Going on to some hero balance. My general thoughts on hero balance right now following 1.6 and transitioning into 1.6.2. Sereth plus Ashbringer. Both Sereth got nerfs, Ashbringer got nerfs, Augmentation got nerfs, but Sereth, Ashbringer plus Aug is still very strong. I don't think it's necessarily overpowered, or at least not as strong as it was, especially with the Technocrat nerf as well. But Seraph is still in a very good spot. I have seen very many Seraphs with the Ashbringer Aug start do well both in solo lane and jungle right now, so don't think that her nerfs brought her out of the meta. If you enjoy playing Seraph, she is still more than viable. Drongo, like I mentioned before, is actually really a threat now. The heal grenade is quite strong, and the grenade damage itself is decent. Of course, you should only be using it for silencing pretty much, or healing yourself if you're going to heal Augment, but it is a very significant amount of health that you can heal both your support and you. I quite like it. I've been having better Drongo games than prior to 1.6.2. Gadget and Sevrog. Sevrog got some nerfs, Gadget got some buffs. Both of these are late game stacking heroes, and I can confirm that in longer games they both still feel insane. If the game goes 35 plus minutes and you've got a Sevrog who's fully stacked up or a Gadget who's building Soulbinder, you now have basically either full team wipe potential or full team tank potential, and you can carry your games confirmed with either Gadget or Sevrog if you make them go long. Of course, most games are not going 35 plus minutes, but keep that in mind if you're playing against a Gadget or Sevrog, that they have late game carry potential for sure in this patch. Rev, as I mentioned, I think is still one of the top carries, but a lot less forgiving, a lot less room for error, got some nerfs across his kit into the Augment like I discussed. Still a decent carry. I know it's a hard carry to balance, so I get they're doing what they can. I have been beating most of the revs I come up against because you have to pretty much land every auto to get the most out of him, but still a decent carry. Don't think that the nerfs took him completely out of the meta or anything like that. If you like playing rev and you're good with him, you can very much still carry your games. And then finally, on the hero balance discussion, it's got to be discussed. Yuri is still insane. She got some number reductions, right? She got some scaling reductions. She got some damage output reductions in 1.6.2. She's still an absolute threat. She's still a must-ban in your ranked games unless you're first pick and you're trying to take her. Just an absurd hero fundamentally. You're talking about an ult that is, we call it the free team fight win button, the free objective fight win button, because it's basically an uncleansable Fey ult that also slows and deals more damage and has a bigger area. It's just kind of absurd. It frequently messes with your blink. You can try to blink out of it and it won't let you out. It's such a big area. You can try to blink from one side to the other of it and still not even get out of it, especially if she's chasing you. So I think Yuri is going to get some more nerfs. She may get the Terra treatment where she gets 5 nerfs in a row. That would be fine with me because this is a hero that I do enjoy playing. It is a fun hero. It is dynamic, a lot of high skill cap potential on her, but it just doesn't feel fun to play against her when she just wins every team fight for free, when she hits her ult, and even early game with no items on can outdamage most junglers, so it's kind of absurd. Her like level 3 versus level 3 against every other jungler, she probably wins, right? So it is what it is. Yuri, hopefully more nerfs incoming. That's all I want to discuss for hero balance changes. Let me know your thoughts on the general hero balance right now of any specific heroes that you see being too strong or too weak. We're still seeing some of the same, Sparrow the top carry, Chimera the top jungler, Faye the top mid, and then a couple very close to them. So just let me know your thoughts on hero balance in general. Gonna be a couple weeks before we get the 1.7 patch on the 22nd to give them another chance to adjust some of this stuff. So that's all I've got really for my discussion of 1.6.2. Wanted to close this video out with a brief mention of some improvements I want to see coming to Pred to keep it going for longer and to just make the player base happier. If you agree with me on these points, let me know in the comments. If you disagree with me on these points, let me know in the comments. And also, if you do disagree, let me know how much you enjoy hero shooters, because this is really just an anti-hero shooter list of improvements that I want to see, both in the short term and the long term. Let's go into the short term first. This is kind of a balance issue right now, and it is anti-heal. Anti-heal needs to be stronger. There's a lot of ways they could go about this, but healing right now is really crazy. Frequently, you will build an anti-heal item against your opponent solo lane or against your opponent jungle, and then you will still see them just healing an amount that feels really oppressive. I feel like you should be more rewarded for building your anti-heal items. I think the best way to go about this is either make the anti-heal items weaker, like less stats given, but make the anti-heal portion of them stronger by, 5-10% at least, or make anti-heal items, this would be my preferred actually, make anti-heal items weaker in terms of giving you less anti-heal, but let them stack. So, in the case that you're against a super strong healer like Grux, in solo lane, maybe you want to build Tainted Blade and Tainted Guard, and then you've got double anti-heal procs on them and they stack together. Right now it does not function like that. They are independent, and you also can't stack with the rest of your team, so there's not very much incentive for every one of your 5 team members to build anti-heal. But if they had plenty of healers and those anti-heal procs stacked, you would be incentivized to do that. Reward good building and game knowledge with better anti-heal would be my opinion on that. Second, towers need to do more damage. I think this is something that a lot of people agree with and we've talked about for a long time. Towers, it's fine. It's one thing if the duo lane and jungle jump and do a 3-man tower dive and they take your carry out and maybe they all get out. That's one thing. It's another thing when my opponent mid laner is taking 4 tower shots in a row in mid lane, killing me while I'm hitting them and minions are hitting them and they get out. That's a little excessive. In my opinion, tower shots need to scale up. It's fine if the first shot doesn't do that much damage, but the second shot needs to do more, the third shot needs to do more than that. And by the time you're taking 4 or 5 tower shots, it should be doing huge damage, even to tanks. I think that's fair, I don't want to punish people for taking 1 or 2 tower shots, but if you're sitting in there and going for that dive, it's got to be punishing. In my opinion, most other MOBAs are functioning like that, so I would like to see Pred move in that direction. Let me know your thoughts on towers. Do you think that towers are there to protect you, or you're there to protect towers, or is it some of both? Let me know, because that's just where I stand on the tower damage. I think it's been too low for too long, and I'd love to see some improvements there. Next up, this one is a anti-hero shooter thing, anti-Nitro thing. Rotates need to be more costly or impactful. It needs to be a risk and reward. Right now, there's really no risk for the solo laner going to steal mid lane's jungle or river bug. There's no risk for the mid laner going to try to gank in duo. There's no downside to the jungler quickly ganking lane, then quickly ganking mid, then quickly ganking duo, not even farming. I think if lane minions were worth more, you would be penalized more for missing out on them. Right now, there's really no downside. Even if I move from solo lane to go gank the mid and don't come back with anything, I missed, a wave of minions at most, which is worth very little. In every other MOBA, minions are worth significantly more gold and XP, so it's so quick to rotate now with the faster movement speed, and you're penalized so little that I feel like you're just making it more of a constant rotate type game, and I'd like the laning phase to be more important. That's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts on it. There's a lot of ways they could fix this. Like I said, make minions worth more. A jungle move speed debuff could potentially help that. Like if everyone other than the jungler moved 10% slower in the jungle or something like that. It could be a decent short-term change. I think long-term a map change will help with this. Shout out to Legacy getting announced. The return of the Legacy map from Paragon coming in 1.7 on the 22nd, so looking forward to that. But let me know your thoughts on rotates. Are they costly enough? If I miss a wave of minions, does it even matter? Not really, So let me know your thoughts on that. Another one kind of in that same token is early game kills are really not impactful or rewarding. With the way the comeback mechanics work, you can frequently be 20 minions up and have 2 early game kills against your opponent's solo laner or mid laner, and then be the same level as you and have the same amount of items on, or be half an item behind. If you're getting early kills, on one hand, yes, you don't want it to just instantly snowball you to where you're uncatchable. On the other hand, we have these catch-up mechanics where you get rewarded for taking out bounties, you get extra XP if you kill people that are higher levels than you, but you need to reward me more for making a good play and getting an early game kill, rather than just giving them a faster trip to base, because the death timers are so short that I literally just helped out my opponent mid laner by killing them at level 3. rather than them backing because it was faster for them. So let me know your thoughts on that. I've always been saying we need longer death timers early to mid game, but I would also like to see extra gold and XP benefits for early to mid game kills if you're going to keep these comeback and bounty mechanics in the game, because you can frequently get back in a game just off of one objective anyway. So let me have an advantage if I make good plays early. And then finally, as far as short-term changes or improvements I'd like to see, a pretty straightforward one: buff the fountain. Buff the fountain. What are we doing? Why am I basing, scrolling over, buying an item, walking up to the front of the jump pad, and then having to wait another 3-4 seconds for my health and mana to fill up? Just buff the fountain, man. I mean, what's the downside to buffing the fountain, I guess, is my biggest question. Just buff the fountain. That's it for my short-term changes. Going into long-term changes, we'll keep these short. First off, a larger map. We'll see what the community response is to Legacy when it comes out in 1.7. I think a new map has been in the works for a while. I think a larger map would address a lot of these concerns as far as hero shooter versus MOBA mechanics. We'll see if we get an official map that's larger in the future, or, like I said, how people enjoy Legacy. If Legacy just absolutely takes off and gets played by a ton of people, maybe they'll keep it around and more people will get to enjoy it. Next one, more item diversity. We know more heroes are on the way. Of course, with every major patch, we're getting a new hero. They've got a list of them that they've already pretty much figured out and worked on, have some of them done, ready to go in our playtesting. But more item diversity. Obviously, Pred is still in its young stages and can't compete with the item diversity of something like Smite, Dota, League that have been around for longer. But I think we need more item diversity. It's probably coming. It's just, as far as long-term improvements, I would definitely like to see that. More unique passives, more options for builds would really go a long way in Pred right now. And then finally, as far as long-term changes I want to see, and I think this one is coming too, just like the prior two, rebalance of the jungle objectives. Right now, Fang, the way that the Fangtooth stacks feels really not fun, because most of the time you're contesting Fang just so the other team can't get it, not so that you can get the buff. You know, you take that first Fang and it's like, yippee, my buffs last longer, my river buffs and red and blue buff last longer. You know, great. You're not taking it for that, you're taking it so that you can get to the third Fang and you can prevent them from getting to the third Fang. I would like to see maybe the total buffs that you get from Fangs 1, 2, 3 just added together and divided by 3, and then each individual Fang giving, you know, 20% or 15% longer buff time, 2% extra out of combat move speed, and 2% extra power. Or something like that per Fang, rather than it just being 1, 2, 3, and certain breakpoints there. Because then it even incentivizes you to go beyond 3 Fangs. And it just makes the game more fair. You know, when you're sitting at that, this team's got 2 Fangs, this team's got 3 Fangs. Well, the team that's got 3 Fangs is only benefiting from 15% extra buff timers, and then 2% move speed and 2% power, or whatever percentages they want to do to that. It just makes it so that you're not saying, hey, we have to get on this Fang so that they don't get their third. You're saying, we want to get this Fang because we want the buff. We want the permanent added bonus from it. So that's how I would like to see Fang rebalanced. Of course, they've already discussed introducing different type of Fangs that could be spawning for different type of buffs, so we'll see where they go with that. Probably in 1.7, since they did reveal that a while ago, so we'll see. We'll be looking for the 1.7 patch notes on that. And then finally, Orb Prime. This is just something I would like to see that we definitely will never see again. Dunking Orb Prime. I miss the old Paragon days of taking Orb and then having to escort the Orb carrier to the dunk location in order for your team to get the buff or for you to revive your inhibs. I think that was a really fun mechanic. It was cool to try to fight and steal the orb off of the orb carrier, or Murdoch snipe the orb carrier before he can turn it in. That was fun stuff back in the day, man. We'll never see it, of course, I'm assuming, but dunking Orb Prime, something to think about in meta if you're listening. So let me know what you guys think about my short-term and long-term improvements that I would like to see for the game. I think Pred has been on a good path. Meta have been doing very good in the content creation department, in the development department, in the community management with the toxicity measures that they've got. They've been doing very good, and I expect them to continue doing good as they bring on new staff. But let me know your thoughts in the comments to get a discussion going about what you guys would like to see coming in Pred in the future and what general improvements you want. That's all I've got for you guys today in my 1.6.2 meta discussion video. Let me know if you want to see me discuss the meta after every balance patch, in addition to the tier list that I usually do. Tier list update to the 1.6 tier list coming hopefully later this week. We have been playing on the patch for nearly a week now, and have got a pretty good grasp of it. Not too many changes in this balance compared to some other bigger balance patches that we've seen. This was mainly an Augments balance patch, which is very much welcome. So thanks everybody for stopping by. Thanks for all the support on the channel recently, everyone hanging out in the live streams with us. We've been having a ton of fun enjoying Pred about every evening. Come catch us there if you want to talk to us about the meta live. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for stopping by, and keep enjoying Pred, folks. Just keep enjoying Pred.